Any questions here? Do you have any questions with the periods, the amplitude, and how to draw it? Please ask. Crazy. Concentrate. Why the amplitude? Okay, I'm going to ask you a question then. Why the amplitude of this one is 1? Why the amplitude of the black one is 1? I'm saying it's 1. Why I'm telling that?
Isn't like amplitude like the maximum height of the wave, and so like the number before sine determines the amplitude, and so the black one has 1 before sine, so that's why the amplitude is 1.
But that's what Inaya is saying. Look, here, this guy, the number in front of the sign is responsible, she used the right word, responsible for the amplitude. What you have is 1, so amplitude is 1, right? Here, what is the number in front of sign here? Half. So what is the amplitude? Half. Now what is the amplitude? What, I mean, how do you feel? What is amplitude? You can find amplitude, half and 1, that's fine. But what is amplitude? How do you understand it?
The height of the waves.
Height of the?
Wave.
From where?
From the starting point.
There.
From the x-axis.
Yeah.
From the x-axis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the starting point means, I know what you're saying, from the x-axis. So height, maximum point is this, so height. This height is called the amplitude, and that is going to be half for the red curve. Okay, that is called amplitude. What is a period now? Crazy. Moment, what is a period? What is period?
The gap between the 2 points. So like
The gap between the?
2 points. So the 2 waves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you Google it?
No. I learned this in physics.
Oh, you do physics?
Yeah.
What kind of physics? So he's right, but period means the length of the repeated block. Okay, so the distance between those two, that's fine. Now, why I'm saying repeated block, Shema, right?
Yeah.
Why I'm saying repeated block? If this graph is given, the black one, do you have 2 bumps?
Sorry?
If this black curve is given to you, do you have 2 bumps? Where? No, that is not how you do find it. Bumps means one should be here, the other one should be in the same side.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's not this and that. Right? What he is saying, okay, understand it carefully. Suppose you have a wave like this. Look at this. Shaman is saying, Shaman, right? The period is the distance between these two. That's what he is saying. Correct. That is called the period. Or, if I say, from here to here, do you believe that this is going to be equal to that? Can you see that?
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
So it's easy to understand the period as a repeating block. Why? Because if you take this bit, here, that is repeated, right? If you copy and paste, see, right? And that is called the period. Period is called the gap or the length of the repeating block, right? Okay, all good. 2 periods, everything is fine. Now let's move into the third one. Let's move into the third one. third one. Again, sine x by 2 pi. 1 here. Minus 1 here. Okay, here the amplitude is 1, period is 2 pi. Okay. What is amplitude here, guys? And period here? Amplitude is the guy over here, which is 2. Period is 2 pi. That's how you find, right? 2 pi divided by the guy over here. Pi. Right?
I'll show you.
Now you have to draw it, right? So once you have this detail, you should be able to draw it. Now period is pi. Okay, period is pi here. That means you have to include. Look. I'm waiting till you finish.
Oh, sorry.
What is the question?
Oh no.
Period. So period is pi, right? So now we are going to draw from scratch. So period is pi here. So how do you draw that? So in between these 2 points, you have to include a repeated block, right? That repeated block should have amplitude 2. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, the whole thing from the origin.
I mean, it's ugly, but you understand. Okay. So now in the exam, you get questions like this. These are very fundamental stuff. Okay. These are very fundamental. Even in year, someone told me in year 10, they have done these things. In year 10, you do these things.
We'll be doing this. Yeah, we're doing that unit now.
Oh,
Yeah, we're doing parabolas and other graphs. I'm not sure about the sine cos tan
No, no.
graphs.
No, it just has like the
And this is
hyperbolas and
intrigue.
stuff.
Oh, that's the hyper. Okay, never mind. But we'll be doing this.
Yeah, I know in year 10 they cover this one.
It's true.
Now this is okay. What about this one quickly? Oh, this is important now. This is important. Again, amplitude here is 1 because it's 1 here. Period here is 2 pi. Yeah. What about the amplitude here? 1, right? Period. Period. Can period be period?
if it goes from like the distance is 2 pi.
I'm asking the period. What is the period of that?
4.
Huh?
No, it's still 2 pi. You're just moving the whole graph, aren't you?
Period. To find the period, always you are looking at the coefficient here. It doesn't matter what you have here. So it's always going to be 2 pi divided by whatever you have here, which is 2 pi. Right? Now, you have to understand amplitude here and the period here, amplitude here and the period is the same. Then what is the difference? What is the difference?
Translation.
Translation? Why?
Because there's a number after the x.
Huh?
Everything
Which
after-
direction?
I don't know.
Anything inside the bracket, you have to make
It's left. Yeah, equals 0, so it's left.
Okay,
So
we'll
that
see.
become negative pi on
We will check. Can you see the black one? The blue one is your sine curve. Blue one is this. Starting from 0 to 2 pi. I mean, I can't make it large actually.
0.
I can't do that.
You limit the domain to 0, so you have to start from a little bit above.
So
yeah.
if I plot x plus pi divided by 4, pi divided by 4 is what angle?
180 divided by
180 divided by 45. 45 degrees. So x plus 45 degrees. Now, right? X plus 45 degrees. The black curve is starting from with a y gap, right? So what I will do now, look. I will do minus pi divided by 4,
then it's
right? And then this one I will put minus pi divided by 4. What you expecting?
yeah, that's it.
In the exam, you have to do these things a lot in the CAS. Okay, I'm not a CAS expert, but you should be very fast in the CAS to do these things and find the points here and everything. And even in year 10, yes, you have to do those. Depends on your school, but prerequisite for year 10 is that, right? But some schools do it, some schools don't. But anyways, in BCE, everybody has to do it. Depends on your school teacher. Now, my question is this. This is 2 pi, pi here, 0, 1 to minus 1. This is my sine x. Now I need to draw sine this, so it would be like this.
What is he doing?
It would be like that. Why? Can you see the amplitude is 1? Yes, amplitude is 1 here, see? Yep. Period is 2 pi. So, this value would be 2 pi minus pi divided by 2. The gap between this point and that point is going to be 2 pi. So, that gap would be 2 pi. How do you find it? 2 pi minus pi divided by 4, right? It's going to be 2 pi. Please let me know if you don't understand anything. Okay. I'm going very slowly, you understand that. Very slowly. I can't make it easier. No one can make it easier. If someone knows how to make it easier, I should know it. This is how the subject is. So many pieces. So I'm going very slowly. If you ask me to make it more slower, so then I have to stop teaching. At level 1 I'm maintaining. I can speed up, yes, of course. Right? So do you understand the period here? How to find the period? This coordinate, listen carefully, this coordinate minus this coordinate. How come? 2 pi minus pi divided by 4 is this coordinate, minus of this coordinate which is minus pi divided by 4. Minus minus, grade 2 math, becomes positive. That positive is going with minus pi divided by 4, giving 2 pi. Should be easy. Now, okay. Okay. Any questions? You should have a question. Any questions? You should have a question. 100%. If you don't ask me a question, I will ask the question you're supposed to ask. What, who told me that? Inaya, I think. Maybe Inaya. She told me that, okay, sine is here, and then you get same set is translated. Someone told me. That's true. You can see the blue curve is shifted to left, right? So this gap is pi divided by 4. This gap also pi divided by 4 is shifted, right? So that is how this curve is. That's what we learned. Now what is next? Oh, any questions? Don't learn subjects like this. I doubt. Even biology you learn that way. Even chemistry you learn that way. Don't learn like that. Question always. Why is happening like that? You might feel, oh, I know chemistry. No, I bet you don't know chemistry. If you talk to me biology, you don't know biology. Because I don't know biology. But any question? Any question? Race? Any questions? No questions? Everything is settled?
Yeah.
Oh. What is good? Yeah, any question? All good? Okay, I have a question. Why it is moving to left, not right? Somebody just-
Because you make it equal 0.
What you
You
want?
make x plus pi equal to 0.
Equal to 0?
Yeah, and then you solve for
X?
x.
So x is minus pi divided by 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so x is minus pi. So what Chanvi is saying, she's asking me to make this inside 0. And then if you do that, you get x is equal to minus pi divided by 4. So, and she's thinking that that makes sense, yeah, because your starting point is minus pi divided by 4. That's what she's explaining, right? My question. Why you equate to 0?
It will tell you what direction to go.
Hmm?
It will tell you like what direction to go.
What board told you that?
From the origin.
I mean, why you are not equating that into 10? Precisely 0. Why 0? 0 is very ugly. Equate that into 1 maybe. Why not 1? Why 0?
Is it because it's the starting point?
Eh?
Is it because it's the starting point? Like when the graph starts?
No, here the graph is starting not as 0.
As in the y coordinate of the graph starting.
Yeah, go on.
So like what's the best way? You know how we have like a standard when y is equal to 0 you find x, and when x is equal to 0 you find y. If you apply that same thing there, then you equate it to 0 by making y 0, that's how you find the x coordinate. So that x coordinate would be negative pi over 0.
Bingo. That's the right answer. I don't have any single word to add. Can you explain? Now again, because my English is bad. Can you explain again so that everybody can understand?
So the same way we have equation like y is equal to x plus something, you take that what's inside as y is equal to x plus pi over 4, and because your starting point is going to be on the x-axis, y has to always equal 0, so you make it you equate it to 0 and then you find x. Yeah.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Some of you knew that?
No.
At least she knew that.
Yeah, at least you knew it.
No, I was actually
Shema,
confused.
what's the quadratic formula?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Guys, look at this. I will try my best to explain that situation. This is my sin x graph. Look at this, guys. Y is equal to sin x. So this is my x axis. This is my y axis. In here, when this is 0, that means sin 0. When x is equal to 0, look at this. When x is equal to 0, sin 0 is equal to y. Can you see that? Sin 0 value is nothing but 0. You understand that? Then, when x is equal to 0, what is the y value? 0. So you can say 0, 0 point, right? So 0, 0 point is 0. Make sense? Now you have there sin x plus pi divided by 4. Okay? Now you need to have y0. Right? You have to have the coordinate like this. 0. And you have to find this. So here y0, right? y0 gives when x is equal to 0, right? Here y0 gives when x is equal to what? When x is equal to what, you get y0. So to do that, do you understand? Look at this please. You have to understand that this x should be minus pi divided by 4. Why? Because minus pi divided by 4 plus pi divided by 4 make inside 0, then sin 0 is equal to 0, then the corresponding x would be minus pi divided by 4. Okay. So you have to go home and argue and then see what is happening there. Okay. So now everybody do this question. Everybody do this question.
Should I ask you?
Plot y is equal to sin 2x plus pi divided by 6.
No, what is the? Is that not like domain restriction?
Not in the class, okay? Hey.
Wait, so how do you add a domain on the cast?
Say again.
How do you add a domain on the cast?
What class will you? Plus
Just
bracket.
one is your-
Yeah.
So you have this y1 or something, right?
Yeah.
y1 is equal to sin x, right? Then you put a pipe here.
And what?
Pipe.
How do you put that?
Where do you get a pipe from? Okay, wait, hold on, this thing. Oh yeah, that would be good.
There is a pipe in the. You go to the keyboard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you-
smooth.
So there you have a pipe.
Also, does that have it?
It's in math.
Domain restriction?
Huh?
Does that have a domain restriction? The question.
Do it for one period, yes.
I got one. Yeah.
For one period.
And then you add the domain.
So I'm not telling you the period. You have to find the period.
Okay.
Say no to me.
Absolutely.
No domain restriction.
So domain is consider one period. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
For one period.
Oh yeah. Painful.
So no, your graph is right, but your starting point is not. Done? Your graph is right, same problem, starting point is not. The shape of the graph and everything is fine. Yeah, everything is fine.
Yeah. Do you need to put like all the intersection points as you radial to the graph like that?
So you have to mention the period, right?
Mm.
So accordingly, you have to find the coordinate, right? According to the period, you know your starting point.
Mm.
And then knowing the period, you find the last coordinate.
Last one, yeah, that's the one.
Like you know this part, right?
Yes.
So then you know the period, right?
Mm.
So you can determine this coordinate, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Ah.
2 pi minus.
How much?
2 pi minus pi. No.
You understand what I'm saying? That happens. Yeah, when inside is 0. Because,
What's the 2x?
okay guys, again, how do you find the starting point like this? Once you have something like that, you make inside 0. Then the value, the x value you are finding is going to be the starting point. Okay. So similarly, here you make inside 0. That means 2x plus pi divided by 6 is equal to 0. From here you get 2x is equal to minus pi divided by 6. X is equal to minus pi divided by 12. That is your starting point, right? So your starting point coordinate would be then minus pi divided by 12 and 0. Because we learned from here the y is 0 when we are finding the x values, right? So always y is going to be 0. That's the construction. Yeah, any question? Please ask. Huh? Then you know the starting point is this. Now what is the period for this one, guy? What is the period for this one?
4 pi.
Huh? 2 pi divided by 2. You take this 2, right? Pi. Period is pi. Yeah. What is the amplitude, guys? Guys, what is the amplitude? 1. 1. So now you can do that. Your starting point is this. Your starting point is minus pi divided by 12. Then you draw a graph like this. Then your maximum point is 1, minimum point is minus 1. That you know because your amplitude. Now your period is pi. How do you find this point? You understand this gap is pi, right? Right? So if this gap is pi, suppose this coordinate is x, then this gap is pi. So you can do this simple math. This x coordinate minus this coordinate over here, minus pi divided by 12, should be is equal to pi. This is the way you do the math, right? So the x value would be pi minus pi. This is how you do the right math. Again, this is x over here. Coordinate, coordinate. This coordinate is x. This pi divided by 12 minus is coordinate, huh? Coordinate. So you minus those two coordinates to get the distance pi. So this pi is the distance. This pi is the distance. This is nothing but coordinate difference. This is nothing but coordinate difference. Make sense? That's it. That's how you do that. All good? Okay. Next question. Anyways, I'm going to upload this video so that you can recheck, right? And how to do these things. Otherwise, next one. But y is equal to sine x plus 1. Draw it for one period. Now how that is. So this one, look at this. Y is equal sine x. That graph looks like this, right? 1 here minus 1 here. 2 by 0 here. Now what about sine x plus 1?
Goes up one.
Sorry?
Goes up one.
You meant like this.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's translation.
Goes
The whole thing.
The whole thing goes up.
Yeah.
So starting.
Huh? One.
Just joking when I said yes.
It's a flat graph.
No, no. Talking about the
Like this.
That's one.
It's already plus 1 means in y direction it has been already translated. Okay. So now, how much is the amplitude now?
2, 2.
What is the amplitude of this one?
1.
Still 1. Still 1. So, but this coordinate here is 2. This is it. The black one is 1. So then summary. If you have y is equal to sine x plus alpha, y is equal to sine x minus alpha, y is equal to sine x plus theta, x plus k, y is equal to sine x minus k. If you know these four, you are set. X plus alpha means you are starting the curve to the left. You are starting from minus alpha. X minus alpha means your starting point is in the positive side. Starting point is shifted to the right. That's the thing, right? See, you have plus here, then you are shifting to left. You have plus here, you are shifting the curve to left. You minus here, you are shifting to the right. Now this structure is different to this structure. Why? Because your constant here is outside of this side. So in this case, you are going up. You are going up, and the starting point is k. Plus k means going up. In this case, minus, so you are going down like that. Like that, but your starting point is minus k. Okay. So that's the case. So now that's why sine x plus 1 becomes this. You are going with this rule over here. Now, if you get a variation, I'm going to have a variation combining this and that now. This is how you get variations, right? So when you get variations, you have to see that variation and you have to relate that with this 4. Then you know the pattern. Okay, let's try one thing. Inaya, so can you please, so I'm just uploading this, but I don't know whether Tazeen is going through that.
I didn't. She asked for my notes, but I don't think she knows about the video.
She knows. Yeah, I already informed her dad, so she knows about it. So please make sure that she's going through that by next week. Otherwise, she's going to miss the important part, right? If you miss this one, then we are looking into the solutions of trigonometric functions. So she's going to lose the board otherwise. Yeah, I don't want that one. Question. Plot. Y is equal to sine. Okay with that. So get ready for tomorrow, because we are doing differentiation, the next part of differentiation. Right? I'll be discussing few questions and discussing past methods tomorrow, and then we will move to the next topic. Right? Like this, the first part of this video. That is already posted in the YouTube. So the lesson discussion also. Unit circle is going to be introduced in 5 minutes. Or maybe not today. Yeah. When is that?
Since the starting point is the hat,
Yes.
then how will I translate when will I start from up here?
Say it again.
So since it's 1, will I start up there?
I can hear you.
Since it's 1,
What is 1? The max,
It's plus-
the amplitude?
no, it's plus 1.
Uh-huh.
So will I start up here?
Essentially, your starting point is 1.
Oh.
So so now you are starting from y is equal to 0, right?
Yeah,
Your starting point would be y is equal to 1.
1.
Up.
Oh, yeah.
He restricted them to 9.
doesn't that mean to one period?
Huh?
Doesn't that? Did you restrict the domain from 0 to 2 pi, or is that one period you want us
So
to
period
show?
is 2 pi, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true. Alright. Yeah, we have a period of 2 pi. Yes. That's what I got.
Did you understand what you learned today? So we'll discuss 2 questions tomorrow. So then you will understand them.
Period is 2 pi, so it has to be from here.
Next week is very important. Okay, I'm going to discuss unit circles. Unit circle is very important concept when it comes to the exam perspective. So be ready. Oh, by the way, are you guys doing homework?
Yeah.
Okay, done.
It's an optical.
Okay. Look how I am doing it. Okay, look how I am doing it. I'm not explaining, but I will do it first. Right? Look how my thinking process is going on when I am doing it in the exam environment. Now I can see here, this is responsible for Y translation. That means due to this, the curve goes on. This is responsible for X translation. Right? So now I'm going to find few things here. My amplitude is 1. Very important to understand that. My period is 2 pi divided by, here the coefficient is 1, 2 pi. Then my X translation. X translation is what? X translation is when the inside is 0. So that means x minus pi divided by 4 is equal to 0. X is starting at this point. X is starting at that point. My Y translation. My Y trans is already given here plus 1. So once you have this point, these things, game is over. Now Y translation plus 1, so that would be here 1. Your X translation starting point is pi divided by 4, pi divided by 4 is here. So that means my starting point is this point. My amplitude is 1, so starting point is this. So I will do this. I have to touch this 0 while my amplitude is 1. So this should be 1. Right? I have to touch that. My period is 2 pi. So this is pi divided by 4. So this point over here, it should be 2 pi plus pi divided by 4. Right? Why 2 pi plus pi divided by 4? It's because if you take this point and that point, you subtract the coordinates, you should get the gap 2 pi. Yeah. And then your amplitude is 1. So your amplitude 1 means this height should be 1. So if this height is 1, your maximum coordinate would be 2, your minimum coordinate would be 0. Okay? So this is how the graph should look like. Now the next question, guys. Tell me why maximum value is what? Tell me why minimum value. When x is equal to what? When x is equal to what? The minimum. You understand y means y-axis, right? Y maximum, look at the curve. Y maximum is hitting here at 2. Y2 is given at what point? You have to find this point. This is that x1 I'm talking about. What is that x1?
Two plus
Very good. That would be pi over 2 plus pi over 4. Why? Because in our original graph, maximum is when pi divided by 2 is here, right? when the whole curve is shifted, this point also shifted this way by pi divided by 4. So the new coordinate after shifting would be pi divided by 4, pi divided by 2 plus pi divided by 4. Should make sense. Okay, that's good. So this is going to be pi divided by 2 plus pi divided by 4. Now y minimum?
0.
Very good. Y minimum is 0 at this point, right? So what is that point?
3 pi over 2 plus pi over 4.
Oh.
So again, minimum value is this. Minimum value is when this value is 3 pi divided by 2. So when you are translating this side this way, this point is translated this way by pi divided by 4. So that means new point should be here, and that new point is this I'm talking about. That point should be 3 pi divided by 2 plus pi divided by 2. Should make sense. Should make sense. Any questions? Any concerns? Any complaints? Okay. So what's the time now?
7:20.
So we don't have much time. So this part is done, right? Graphing part is important. I will show you why it is important when I'm discussing paper questions, probably next week. This week you will get some homework to plot these things. It's going to be easy. Right? I'm not going to give you much homework this week. It's just plotting. But next week you will have some homework to do, right? Because the core part of the topic is going to be done next week. If you have any questions, you have the video. Last week video also there. This week video also here. So